the script. Hi, I'm KodaKandi, and welcome back to the channel where I can talk about whatever I want. And tonight, after remembering the comments I got on my Marilyn Manson video, I want to discuss Satanic Panic. What it is, and why, personally, I believe it's stupid. Before I begin talking about it, though, I want to make something very clear. I do not hate Christians. I grew up Christian. I went to church my whole life up until I was 14 to 15 years old. Also, this is not a jab at those in the religion. My channel is a space for all. I don't care what you believe, as long as you aren't hurting other people or animals. I don't care. Let's begin. Satanic panic, as defined by Wikipedia, is a moral panic consisting of over 12,000 unsubstantiated cases of satanic ritual abuse, SRA, also known as ritual abuse, ritualistic abuse, organized abuse, or sadistic ritual abuse, that started in the United States in the 80s, continuing into the 90s, and then today. How did this phenomenon begin? Well, it started with a book titled Michelle Remembers, which was written by a Canadian psychiatrist, Lawrence Pazder, and his patient who would later become his wife, Michelle Smith. This book used a controversial and completely discredited practice because of how bullshit it is, recovered memory therapy, or RMT. Pretty much, they ended up suing a preschool, I think. It was a child sexual abuse case, which I'm not going to cover on here because everything's alleged. Satanic panic is more people using a bullshit practice, or I guess nowadays, assuming they know everything based on imagery. A lot of the panic originates because of alleged actions taken by outside groups, which include, but are not limited to, cannibalism, child murder, torture, and incest. A lot of these allegations were described through the scapegoat other, which is defined as another person separate from oneself, which is mainly used during times of disruption. Kind of bullshit, but moving on. SRA panics repeated a lot of the same themes: historical moral panics and conspiracy theories, such as the blood libel, the wild rumors leading to the persecution of early Christians in the Roman Empire, Jewish rituals involving cannibalism of Christian babies, and the desecration of the Eucharist, and witch hunts both in Europe and in Salem, Massachusetts. Torture was used as a way to get these alleged Satanists to confess to being Satanist. They would then use these confessions as a means to execute people, which is kind of ironic, seeing as the panic was mainly caused due to so-called Satanists torturing people. Ironic, isn't it? Wow. Records of older allegations were used to show that contemporary satanic cults, like the Church of Satan, are linked to an ancient evil. However, most contemporary Satanists are atheistic, meaning they don't believe in a literal Satan. Do your research. However, in the 1950s, with the rise of the Red Scare, in the context of SRA in the United States, was McCarthyism. The idea of the Soviets coming to brainwash the United States added to the satanic panic cauldron of sorts. Due to the panic continuing in the 80s, fundamentalist Christianity was born, creating what's called the moral majority. The rise of the movement, which aimed to accuse anything, everything, and anyone of SRA, plus the rise of the Church of Satan, which again is atheistic in beliefs, provided a little bit of truth to the claims this group was making, since they don't do any research into the things they're using as scapegoats. Good Lord, let's get into the media. As it does with most things, it ruins everything. Woo! Conspiracy theories. As what happens with most things, conspiracy theories only make things 10 times worse. In 1984, McFarlane warned a congressional committee that children were being forced to engage in scatological behavior and watch bizarre rituals where animals were being slaughtered. Sounds more like going to the PETA website, but I digress. After this, the United States Congress doubled the budget for child protection programs. In 1985, Patricia Pulling joined forces with psychiatrist Thomas Radke, I don't know how to say it. I'll pop the last name up on screen. And together they created BADD, Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, we're going there. Roleplay games like D&D were seen by this organization as satanic cult recruitment tools. Roleplay games were also apparently inducing kids into suicide, murder, and SRA. Other conspiracy theories surrounding this time included heavy metal music, educators, child care centers for some reason, and TV. However, the D&D argument wouldn't hold up, seeing as those who were playing D&D had lower suicide rates. Would you look at that? A lot of the self-proclaimed anti-satanic warriors would see satanic panic or the idea of Satanism as a hidden holocaust. Not cool, and it just continues to get worse the longer you look into it. Famous people selling their souls. This is like a topic that I love talking about because I think it's so stupid. So, a lot of people for some reason believe that people who make it to fame have sold their souls. The whole reason being in imagery or lyrics like with songs such as Money by Michael Jackson or Paint the Town Red by Doja Cat, or even in the music video All the Good Girls Go to Hell by Billie Eilish, that last one being about global warming. Like, hello? A deal with the devil, in my opinion, and to my research, is more based in folklore, like those attempting to trick the devil in the story and ending up meeting a bad fate. There's a good trilogy of songs that was written by the band Crown the Empire. Johnny Ringo, Johnny's Revenge, and Johnny's Rebellion. Go listen to it. It's really good. It's a whole trilogy song thing that's spread all out everywhere, and I love it so much. People believing that famous people sell their souls when there's no concrete proof of this is kind of weird in my opinion. People make it, and it has to be because of the devil. And it's also like the whole thing where you can't listen to certain artists, like for example Lil Nas X or Melanie Martinez, because satanic imagery. Ooh. Well, the Lil Nas X part is kind of true, but it's imagery, it's a metaphor. So, Anton LaVey and Aleister Crowley. This is probably where I'm going to have people mad at me, but let's talk about it. Anton LaVey is the founder of the Church of Satan, and people who believe all Satanists practice theistic Satanism love using him as a scapegoat, But if you do a little research instead of blindly believing what someone says, Anton LaVey is an atheist. I'm sorry. As for Aleister Crowley, the comments I mentioned at the beginning of the video use his name. He was an occultist who found the belief system Thelema, which, again, if you do your research, is a spiritualist religion, has no ties to Satanism. Both of these guys were mentioned in the comments I have on screen, and like, if you're gonna pray or scold me in my comments, at least do your research and also spell Aleister Crowley right, so I don't look up Aleister Crowley and end up finding out who you were talking about anyway. Moving on. Fear-mongering. A big part of Satanic Panic is fear-mongering, and that's why I'm mentioning it here as the last big stretch of the video. What is fear-mongering? Fear-mongering is the action of deliberately arousing public fear or alarm about a particular issue, like in the 80s with D&D and metal music. Let me ask you, do y'all remember when the eclipse was happening and everyone thought the Book of Revelations, according to the King James Version, was coming true? If you actually look into the King James Version, a lot of people credit it as the most inaccurate version of the Bible. Just that it brought the Bible into English from Hebrew. So, however, the problem with that is, even if you believe, you don't know when the end is coming, as it's told in the Book of Revelations. Nobody does. That's fear-mongering. Believing that, oh, eclipse is happening. It happens once in a blue moon. It happens, I think, I don't remember the exact time. If I Google it when I'm editing it, I'll pop it up on screen. But they happen. But for some reason, people were like, the way it's traveling, oh my god, all these natural disasters, the Nile River was drying up at one point. Fear-mongering. You don't know when the end is coming, but you want to do this whole thing. Okay. Another part of this section relating to Satanic Panic is religious symbols such as the Cross of St. Peter and the Evil Eye. Firstly, the Cross of St. Peter has only become satanic due to Hollywood movies like The Conjuring or The Nun. I watched The Nun. It was really good. But the whole reason the cross is upside down is because St. Peter did not want to be crucified the same way Jesus was. So he was nailed upside down. Secondly, if you actually do your research on the evil eye, it wards off negative or evil energy. Have you ever been scrolling through TikTok or on Instagram or even here on YouTube and you come across those videos where it's like, if you scroll, you don't love God. If you scroll, you're going to hell. Fear-mongering, because you don't know if you're going to hell. You don't know that until Judgment Day, according to the Bible. And also using the imagery of God or like the words for monetary gain, which is what most people are doing. They're doing it so you'll click on the video or you'll stay for the watch time. It's also against the Bible. pause to read the quote. This whole thing was pretty much inspired by the comment on my Marilyn Manson video. In no way am I a religious channel. I don't care. I don't like to talk religion very much either. But this topic interests me because seeing how many people are like that crazy that they believe D&D is satanic, like that's wild. I just like to talk about things that interest me. I don't like to talk about religion, but these comments were just too funny not to make a video, like a whole deep dive on a subject that basically sums up their comment. Anyway, I'm KodaKandi, and goodbye. Goodbye.